Hello, my name is Ed Brown, guest host for Andrew Legal Matters. Today, our guest is freelance attorney Sonrisa Lewis, owner of Lewis Legal. Our discussion is titled, How Solo Practitioners Can Use Digital Services to Build a Remarkable Law Firm. Sonrisa is an innovative entrepreneurial attorney with a mission to help other lawyers take their law practice to the next level. Sonrisa provides assistance to other lawyers in the form of legal research, legal writing, and litigation support. Sonrisa helps solo practitioners and small firm attorneys save money, earn money, and grow their practices. Prior to opening her freelance law firm, Sonrisa had a diverse legal career working for the federal government, the private sector, and a judicial campaign. Sonrisa fine-tuned her research and writing skills clerking for the family court for the state of Delaware. Sonrisa has a deep background in several areas of law, including cannabis law, family law, banking and financial regulation, regulatory compliance, personal injury law, criminal law, and much more. Sonrisa is an alumnus of American University's Washington College of Law and the University of Delaware. In her spare time, she likes exercising, hiking, dancing, and rooting for her favorite singers on The Voice. Thank you, Sonrisa, for being a guest on Andrew Legal Matters.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. So how did you become a freelance attorney?
So I became a freelance attorney kind of on accident and kind of on purpose. I just opened my freelance law firm last September, and I hadn't really heard of freelancing or freelance attorneys, but at the time I was looking for some work that would be flexible for me. I was going through some health issues, and I needed a flexible schedule. Also, I love legal writing and legal research. I'm a big nerd, so I love those things. But the courtroom isn't my favorite place, and I kind of thrive with the analysis and the writing and the research. So I had an idea to work focusing on those areas and providing support to other lawyers. Basically, I kind of do their homework, writing briefs and drafting documents and things for them. And I did some research and realized that that's an actual job. It's called a freelance attorney. So I started my own freelance law firm, and it's the best job that I've had as an attorney thus far in my career.
Did you know that you would be doing this kind of work when you were in law school? Did you envision being a freelance attorney?
No, I had no idea. I didn't know it was an option. You know, they kind of talk about traditional careers in law, but freelancing wasn't really mentioned. It's not a brand new concept by any means, but it's still kind of up and coming. So I meet a lot of lawyers who know what freelance attorneys are and who work with them, but then there are other lawyers who haven't even heard of it. So when I was in law school, I had no idea that this would be my path.
Okay. And from your vantage point, were there any indicators suggesting that, I say this entrepreneurial approach to practicing law, if you will, did you see that as something you want to do because you've always been entrepreneurial? And has that been something that, say, solo practitioners can appreciate since they are somewhat entrepreneurial?
Right. This is my first experience kind of with my own business. I've had more traditional jobs working for others, but like you said, it is pretty cool because I'm a solo. I run my own firm, and then I serve other solo practitioners, so we can kind of relate. We're all entrepreneurs running our own law firms, and so a lot of the strategies that I'm using for myself, I like to talk about with other lawyers as well. So It's kind of cool that we have different functions, but we're kind of in the same boat in some ways.
Okay. And from that vantage point, are there any particular 1, 2, 3 challenges that you hear again and again from other attorneys about being entrepreneurial or running their own solo practitioner law firm?
Yes. The biggest challenge that solo practitioners talk to me about is not having enough time to get everything done. It's hard. We have to work on our business and also in the business. And there are a lot of different hats to wear. So a lot of solo practitioners will talk to me saying that they just don't have enough time to get everything done. One of my clients, she was working every evening drafting documents and just didn't have enough time during the day to get everything done that she needed. So she gave me some work. I do some drafting for her, and now she no longer is doing that every single evening. So I'd say time, to answer your question, is the biggest challenge that I'm hearing from my colleagues.
Okay. Now, doing a deeper dive on this particular subject,
Sure.
have you found that not having enough time is a time management problem, or just they being an attorney didn't assess what it would take to run their own firm?
That's a good question. I think it depends on the person. Lawyers and solo practitioners are extremely busy, as you know, in general. So there just not being enough hours in the day. Some attorneys could use better time management skills for sure, and there are a lot of different resources and tools and strategies that they can kind of put in place to help themselves save time. So I think it's a combination of just having such a heavy workload and kind of like the nature of the job of being a lawyer, and then taking maybe not poor time management, but just taking advantage of everything that's accessible in terms of the tools and different resources of that nature.
And that's key right there, because I know that one of the things I think that you do well is the video marketing on LinkedIn in particular.
Oh, thank you.
Have you found and have you observed that attorneys are adept at technology that way?
It's been pretty mixed, actually. So I've been surprised pleasantly that a lot of attorneys are pretty good with technology, and they utilize different programs, practice management software, things like that. However, there also are some that aren't quite paperless, aren't totally digital yet. So we still have some in that boat as well. So it's kind of a mix. I know if you're not totally digital or paperless or tech savvy, then some of these tools might be less accessible to you as a lawyer. But you can always learn, and there are always people out there to help. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just curious, what kind of challenges keep you up at night when it comes to your solo practice?
I would say for me, kind of piggybacking on what I said earlier, I have to wear a lot of different hats. And the hardest part is learning how to best market and educate lawyers and get the word out about what I do, because we all go to law school and we learn law. So actually doing law is the easy part of my job. And the more challenging part that I was never taught or exposed to is marketing and educating. And I'm working very hard at that aspect, but that would be the challenging part, the challenging hat for me, or the thing that's new or that I don't have training in. Okay.
Out of 100%, let's say that 100% being the total overarching dynamic of branding, marketing, and actually the technical aspect of actually doing the work, what would you say is the percentage that goes to branding and marketing, and what percentage is the actual doing the work?
That's a great question. I'm probably, I'd say half and half, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
I'd like to get to a point where I kind of have systems in place for the marketing and the outreach, so that takes less time on a daily basis, and I can focus more on the legal work. But, right now I'm kind of at a half and half point. My firm just started up last September, so I'm still getting started with everything.
Okay. And again, I think that's going to be the case no matter who's on the phone, from a solo practitioner all the way to a multinational Fortune 500 company. It's always going to be marketing and branding, particularly with the internet being so challenging, and the barrier to entry so low. But that being said, I think I'll echo my earlier sentiments. You do a great job of video marketing.
Thank you.
For solo practitioners who want to be brand leaders and or thought leaders, what tips would you provide to those solo practitioners?
I would say to use social media. You mentioned the videos. Videos are a great tool to get the word out, to build a presence online. People see your face and they hear your voice, and it's a good way to meet people without actually meeting them. And I would say that you can use social media to publish these videos. Oh, another thing, you can be active in groups on social media, like on Facebook or on LinkedIn. If you're active in these groups, asking questions, responding to questions, providing value and content, and kind of establishing yourself as an expert, this is a really good way to gain visibility. It's free. It takes your time, but it's a good way to kind of establish yourself online, especially if you're targeting groups that contain people in your target audience. Like if you're a personal injury attorney, maybe you're in a group of motorcycle riders or something like that.
Right.
If you're a family law attorney, maybe you join a group of single moms or single dads or a target or a group of people that would fit within your target market. So I hope that answers the question. I'd say video,
it does.
social media, and interaction. Yes.
That's key right there, because a lot of times when I talk to my clients who they're solo practitioners, but sometimes I might be like engineers, and I might say, who are you trying to target? And we do a deeper dive, and then it's kind of like, well, I'm trying to get to HR and certain, say, construction companies. Then we would write an article or a podcast or a video on how a particular problem inside the industry can be solved. And then you kind of connect with those individuals online. And then you brand everything, the headline, your verbiage in your summary, as well as all the articles and other stuff that you publish to that particular niche. And you have the best opportunity to attract them, because there again, you're speaking to them. You're not trying to be all things to everyone. It's almost like you have an exclusive club, if you will, that allows individuals to say, he's speaking or she's speaking to me, and therefore when I need certain things done, that's the person I'm calling. And sometimes LinkedIn is the best way of doing that, but I don't think people oftentimes use LinkedIn for the nuggets that it actually provides.
I would agree. I've discovered LinkedIn is great. And like you said, just the more visible they are, you said that's the person you're going to call. Like when someone needs something, they see you all the time. So I definitely agree with that.
And so I'm curious, because your video marketing, how did you discover that? Because a lot of people I've come in contact with, they don't mind writing articles, or you have me ghostwrite articles for them, or doing a podcast. But when it gets to putting themselves in front of the camera, and you do that very well, very engaging, bubbly, so on and so forth. And and then a kind of like academic sense, if you will. It's like, oh, I'm not going to get you. No, it's kind of fun. You make legal services fun, and I think that's your brand. And if it is a brand, kudos. If it's not your brand, that should be your brand. So, how did you discover video marketing as a way that you want to go to attract clients?
Well, I appreciate that. Yes, video, kind of to mention something you said, it is tough to get started with video marketing, and it was a little more challenging than, say, writing an article or something of that nature. I first started doing it. I happened to run into a professional who focuses on marketing for attorneys via social media, and I've been working with him a little bit. But anyway, part of his thoughts were to do a lot of videos, and so I kind of just followed his advice and started making videos, and I decided I'd try to make 4 to 5 every single week, and I decided I was going to put them everywhere I could possibly think of to put them: YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I have a blog. So it wasn't my idea, it was someone else's, but kind of ran with it. But it is challenging to kind of get started, because it's a new way of communicating, something we're not, like you said, as lawyers, we're academics and we're analysts, and we're not really used to that kind of interaction. We're used to shaking hands and things like that, but it's kind of different.
Okay. Let's switch gears as we wrap up and get to your processes. So if I'm an attorney, a solo practitioner, and I want to use your services, tell me how the process I go to get to use your services, and when do I call and why do I call?
Usually solo practitioners come to me at a time when they're overworked, maybe they're exhausted, maybe they have a big trial coming up, maybe they're going on vacation soon, or usually one of those factors comes into play, and they feel like they need some support. So they'll reach out to me, usually via social media or an email, and the first step would be to schedule a strategy session, which you can do through my website, which I can provide at the end. And in that initial strategy session is kind of when we put our heads together and say, okay, what's going on in your law firm? What are the challenges you're facing? What are your needs? And then we work on how I can take work off of their plate to kind of help them to better manage their practice and suit their needs. And we'll come up with a system of the logistics, how we're going to actually work together. Are we going to share documents on Dropbox, or we'll kind of talk about the logistics then as well. There's also an agreement that we both sign and review that has all the technical details of the working relationship. And yeah, that's kind of how logistically it works.
Okay. Are there any challenges you found up to this point with working with solo practitioners? I mean, the upside, obviously, is you're taking the brunt of the heavy lifting off them and allowing them to go to bed at a decent hour to not have to carry the whole load themselves, as well as an expert who works with them, but you don't have to worry about paying a bonus and ongoing salary, so on and so forth. So you actually saving them money and time on a lot of fronts. Is there a downside that you find with solo practitioners?
I don't really see any downsides working with solo practitioners. So far, it's been a good experience, and kind of like I said earlier, we're both, we're attorneys, we're colleagues, we both run law firms, so it's pretty easy to kind of communicate and speak the same language. Sometimes there's a challenge, also like I said earlier, if they're not totally digital or paperless.
Right.
In that case, it is challenging to share information because I work remotely only. So I guess that would answer your question, that's definitely a challenge.
And with that being said, how do you overcome that?
Well, one way is kind of messy, just to scan and send things via email. That gets messy and can be cumbersome. I always encourage people to go paperless, digital if they can, and also if that's challenging for them, like there are professionals out there that can help you with that. So
right. Interesting. So is that a hard sell? Because you got me curious now. Is that a hard sell when it comes to, hey, you really need to look at this new service or new software, what have you? Is it a hard sell, or are they usually malleable to saying, you know what, I knew I should have gotten this a long time ago. I'm glad you're pushing it because now I'm working with you and it's showing me how at ease it is to actually work this?
If I'm honest, it's a hard sell.
Okay.
It's a hard sell just because they're so busy and it's overwhelming if you think, oh, my goodness, all my paper files, I need to do something with this stack of things. So I think that they feel overwhelmed, and we work around it as best we can, but the attorneys that are kind of already digital, paperless, they get the most out of their work with me. Okay.
Now, that being said, I want you to astral project into the future and predict. Do you think there will be a time when it will be kind of conventional wisdom to do just that, in terms of even when somebody says solo practitioner, that they actually start doing the things that we're talking about?
I think so. And by the things that you're talking about, you mean just taking advantage of
the software that is kind of like, it's like Microsoft Word is not something we got to teach the average individual, right? It's kind of like the standard, right? And if you talk about the things we're talking about that's kind of challenging for you at this point, do you think can you see a time based on the dynamics and psychodynamics, and more importantly, of attorneys that they will grasp technology that makes the job easy for them? You see that part and parcel of their DNA?
Oh, yes, I definitely see that time coming. I graduated from law school in 2012, and even since then, I've seen a big change in terms of the technology that's available to lawyers, how lawyers are using it, and I think a lot of my contemporaries are really excited about these different tools and technology. So I think you're right that we're moving in that direction, and it's probably not that far off.
Okay. Any last thoughts or comments as we wrap up?
I guess just to recap, solo practitioners and small firm attorneys, if they want to kind of take their practice to the next level, I would encourage them to consider any digital services that they can put in place and utilize. There's just so many resources out there, including someone like a virtual freelance attorney, of course, but there are a lot of different tools and systems that people can put in place. I know sometimes it's hard to step out of the day-to-day, but even just taking a few hours to step back and kind of brainstorm and look at what's out there can really, really be very helpful and profitable in the long run.
Okay. And how may listeners get in contact with you for those who would like to engage your services?
I think the easiest way would be to visit my website, which is lewislegalfreelance.com. Lewis is Lewis, legalfreelance.com. You can also find me on social media, LinkedIn, my first name, Sonrisa. Might be hard to remember. So
I'll make sure that in the description that it's spelled correctly and that they can get in contact with that way.
Awesome. All right. In that case, the website or LinkedIn, that would work out well.
Okay. Well, thanks for being a guest. You gave some invaluable information and chock full of insight. So definitely let's keep talking and conversing and maybe doing some business in the future. I definitely will send solo practitioners I come my way looking for the kind of service you provide, saving time and letting them go to sleep at night in a decent hour. You definitely be my go-to person. So thank you again for being a guest.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me and for this opportunity, and it's been great.
My pleasure. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye.